It probably doesn't look any different than last week, but I assure
all
you,
up there looks different.
we've done a lot this week.
Yeah.
We removed the ceiling,
Yeah.
brought it all down, removed the port lights.
Took out all the field plying, cleaned up the hull, and so everything is ready to go.
Let's do this.
Good morning, everybody. So today I am going to be glassing in these giant holes left over from where our port lights used to be. We are going to be putting port lights back in, but they're just going to be smaller. They're going to be operable. They're not going to be these big, vast expanses of open space that tend to leak. They're going to have a much larger flange to seal them to the boat. Many, many reasons why we're getting rid of these terrible port lights from 50 years ago. But in order to do that, we have to glass these big voids in, all 6 of them all the way around, plus where the chimney used to go, where the chart plotter used to go, all of these holes we're going to be glassing in so that we can have a nice, clean, fresh start. So I need to taper back this edge a little bit so that it's like a knife's edge, so it goes thin. And then I'll put a piece of wood and some plastic on the back, and then put some layers of glass from the inside so that when we pop that wood off, we'll have like a nice fresh surface. We are going to be coring this whole vertical piece anyway, but it looks like it's about 4 or 5 millimeters thick, and I think the rule is about 12:1. So if it's 5 millimeters, that would be about 60 millimeters back, so about 6 centimeters, and I've sort of marked off a general radius. That's probably more like 10, which is overkill. But you want to definitely taper that back so that it has like a nice good bond. A little bit more grinding, but since most of the grinding is done, I'll be a little bit more surgical about it. Use a vacuum cleaner, try to keep the dust down to a minimum, and just sort of feather this edge back a little bit so that once we put the multiple layers of glass on and build that back up, it's all smooth and pretty. So that's my task for today. Some more grinding, hence the monkey suit. Grinding's done. Man, I'll tell you what though, having the right gear definitely makes grinding much more tolerable. These like real Tyvek suits make such a big difference. The next thing that needs to happen is I need to get like some scraps of plywood. I think we're gonna like glue that onto the outside of the hull with hot glue. I know it's your favorite. With maybe some like plastic on the front so the glass doesn't stick to it. But once all that's glued on the outside of the hull and the plastic's on, then I can cut pieces of glass and start laminating the interior. Hopefully I'm gonna get all this done today, but I started at noon. I need to cut some plywood up, and I think I'm gonna use the 4 mil because it'll curve to the hull a little bit better. And hopefully there's no like compound curves. We'll see how this works. All right, so I finished cutting like little pieces of plywood, and I just used a tiny little bit of hot glue to stick them on the outside of the hull so that I could trace the shape of each port light and then label the back of them appropriately so I can figure out how to put them back on. And the theory is I'm going to spray the surfaces with a little bit of contact adhesive and then put a layer of plastic on them so that it has like something to release, and then go back outside and glue them in place. And I marked outside so that I know which ones go where and what orientation they go in. And then when they're done, they're gonna look like this. Already did this one. So there's gonna be like a little layer of plastic on there. And then it's like a nice smooth finish. And then I hot glue those on the outside of the boat so that it's a nice solid surface to put some glass on. Hopefully this plastic will keep it from sticking to the wood. It's also going to seal off the backside so that it cures properly. And then I can pop that piece of plywood off and we'll be able to sand the outside of it and probably put a layer of glass on the outside as well. So it's a nice sandwich. That's the theory. You can see that like tapering it down has left this really nice edge. See, otherwise it would have been sticking out like that far. So that's the theory. Hopefully it works.
Creating a bat cave.
There we are.
Yeah, you know we don't like the sunshine, so...
Bo and Brandy would be proud.
It's gonna be a nice dark cave when we're done. We should just leave it dark after, right?
No.
No. Yeah,
Right.
the plan is today we're going to be grinding off the hatches because we're going to be changing them anyway, and they're not going to be the same size, especially the V-berth because it's going to be very much customized. But in the meantime, it makes sense to remove it and then glass over where it used to be. So close it up, and then when we're ready to cut it open again, we'll cut it.
The plan is that since we're moving the head back like the width of the closet, we're gonna be putting the toilet there. So we're gonna move, like where this V-berth hatch was, we're gonna move it back by about a foot, 30 or 40 centimeters. And then what we're gonna replace is gonna be something that kind of comes up the front here and over so we can actually see out looking forward if the dinghy's not on deck, so like when we're on anchor. And it's also gonna just have better ventilation. But that's gonna be something that we're gonna need to custom build. So this whole like back half is just gonna be deck. So that's why we cut the whole thing out, because we're gonna be like, we're just gonna rebuild the deck as if there wasn't a hatch here, and then take a mold off of it to build the hatch that's gonna go back in here. So the plan now is gonna be to do some more grinding and clean it up a little bit and taper it down on the inside. And then we're probably just gonna replace it with some plywood. We don't have balsa core, but with just these two small sections, plywood's not really gonna make a difference in weight. And then glass it from the inside, glass it from the outside, kind of turn it back into a deck. That's the plan.
So much brighter in here. Yeah, I take it back. I don't want a bat cave anymore. I want all the lights. What if we just open up the entire deck?
Glass top, glass
Make
bottom.
it, ooh, a glass top sailboat. But like come into the V-berth as well. Oh, this is amazing. Yeah, so the reason why we cut it all the way out is because the bathroom, I think the head starts somewhere here.
At the rib.
This rib, yeah. So here, so it wouldn't make sense to have like a bulkhead here and then the hatch kind of like go on top of it. So yeah, we're going to close this whole thing, and then we're gonna cut out the V-berth hatch. Is gonna start maybe somewhere here, and then kind of like customized to curve into the front. That way we can actually see forward even in the V-berth. That'd be really cool. All right, so next step, I'm going to be templating the port lights. Lots of work to be done.
Think we're gonna have it all glassed in by the end of the day?
I think so. It's still very early. It's like maybe 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning now. Probably not. It's probably like way later. I have a weird sense of time. We'll try. If not, we'll finish tomorrow. All right, so this is the game plan for this. I've been templating the port lights with some trash bags inside to mark exactly where the openings are and how far out we need to go with the fiberglass. And then in here, I'm going to cut all the layers, and we're going to be using two types of fiberglass. We're going to use the chopped strand, and then we're also going to be using the biaxial, and we're going to alternate them. So the last layer is going to be chopped strand matte. From there, we divide it into like 5 different layers, and then so the second is going to be biaxial, the third layer is going to be chopped strand, the fourth layer is going to be biaxial, and the fifth and last layer is going to be another chopped strand, just to fill in the hole that the port light was basically taking. So there's a lot to cut. So a really cool trick that I found to cut the plastic is, so I marked it on the boat basically as a big square because I wasn't going to cut the details on the boat. And then when I came in here, I kind of carved the first big layer, like the same size, and then I used that as a template. And then from there, every time that I cut, I go from one side with the chop strand, then I take it over to the next side, and then I kind of cut it along the lines. And then it gets smaller, and then I take it back to the chop strand mat, and I cut another layer smaller, and I bring it back here, another layer smaller. So I go back and forth quite a lot until it's very small. And then at the very end, when I make it to the very, very last layer, I put all the layers together in order, and then I rolled it up nicely, and then I tuck it away, and it's gonna be ready for glassing. And I tie it with a beautiful little knot.
It's gonna make glassing so much easier.
Start.
It's gonna go quick once we've mixed up that resin.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna
That's the
be
trick.
organization. It's organize and plan first, and then the work goes faster after.
No, that's not fiberglass.
What's that?
That's lunch. I ordered pizza because I'm really hungry. We've been here all day.
All right. Well, lunch break. Good timing because I'm done.
Does anybody else do this when they order pizza? Where like you painstakingly pick out exactly the pizza you want and then you end up splitting 50-50 with your significant other anyway?
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's why we order 2 different pizzas every time.
It doesn't even matter which one we start with.
I don't want like
Dusty.
do the half.
I would just eat half and then switch.
Well, no, because I like to mix and mash. I don't like to eat all of the same ones at the same time. Let's do it. I go low, you go. I go high, you go
Mine's
low.
too sloppy. Do not want to drop it on the floor. See,
Well, no, don't put it on the
See, this is the issue. Toss it at me.
I didn't want it to.
Threw it at me.
Cafe de Uma.
We need to name our storage container because this ain't Uma.
Leave a comment down below what you think we should call this storage container unit. All right, I think it deserves the name.
Couch.
Call it the couch.
The couch.
Right. So we'll pack up our goodies and there you go. Let's go fiberglass some stuff. Okay. Let's do this. Oh no, we're stuck together.
Oh no.
Careful behind. Nice.
This is going to be a really good like backer to, because we're going to put core. We're going to put like balsa core along this whole thing, and then glass the cab on top of the few layers, and glass here the few layers. So like, because this is quite flexible, and that'll make it much more stiff. So this is all this glass is really just to sort of like create a deck shaped backer to put that core up against.
You're about to like get resin all over your. If you were like a millimeter.
Yeah, no, this is working out pretty good. It smells good in here. Actually, it's very well ventilated in here.
It's not bad. It's
No, I really like this stage of a build project because like you just don't have to care about the mess you make because it's all going to get like sanded and grounded, painted and primed and blah 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 as you go. So you can just like, you don't care if you're like drip resin on the floor.
Yeah,
like
there's resin on my feet. There's resin on the floor.
super. All right, we're done for the day. But before we do the ceiling, we're going to make sure we get like another set of, so we have 2 rollers. Because when we do the ceiling, it's going to be a lot of like both of us holding while we both kind of like goo and roll.
It'll go much faster.
The first one we tried back there was to like wet out all 5 layers and then like pick it up and stick it on. But then you're dealing with like a big wet mat of fiberglass filled with resin, and so like you get all sticky, and then the next one you pick up and the chop strand mat pieces get all over the place. It's much cleaner to put it on dry and then like roll it out, because then the only thing that's covered in resin is the roller. And so it might be take a little bit longer, but it's definitely less messy because then everything you're picking up is dry. Then you kind of like lightly put it in place. You might get a little bit of resin on your fingertips, but then you can like roll it into place.
You just have to wet
It's
it
much better.
more once it's.
Yeah, I mean, like.
But you
I
use,
just think
you use the same amount of
it's the
resin.
same amount of
no matter
resin.
what,
I just think it's
so.
easier than dealing with like big, wet,
I
heavy
agree.
chunks of glass.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the ceiling. Otherwise, it's just gonna flop all over the place.
Yeah. When we do the ceiling, we'll be wearing goggles for sure. and like headscarves.
And yeah, maybe like swimmer's caps.
Something, or maybe just like a hood like this one.
And definitely not gonna have my hair out like this.
No,
This is probably
that's dangerous.
Not,
Playing
this
with
is very
fire.
dangerous.
So
But,
yeah, all the
yeah.
port lights are glassed in. The old chart plotter digital screens were glassed in, and we glassed in on deck all of the chain plate holes because the chain plates are probably moving to the exterior of the hull, maybe. Either way, they're going to be different anyway. So yeah, the only two big holes left that we need to fill up are the salon that we just cut out and the V-berth hatch that we cut out. But those are going to have to wait until next week when the balsa gets here.
Yes, because we can't find any balsa core in Italy, so we had to order it.
That's one thing we're slowly learning. There's like 20 shipyards here, but they all have like their own supplies.
But they
and
all order from outside of Italy anyway.
They all order their supplies online and then it gets shipped in, and none of them want to like sell us little bits and pieces. So we're ordering our own stuff. Yeah. We can get like the regular stuff. We get like resin, we can get some fiberglass, and kind of get peel ply sometimes. But anything specialized like balsa core, we can't really get that. So.
Super. Well,
so
we're
it'll
gonna
be next week.
clean up.
And
then call it a day. All right. Oh my goodness, I am like
getting tool for this. Watch your head.
Oh yeah. Good point. All right. Bye. Bye.
Bow. Bow.
That's not gonna work.